Hello and welcome to Living by Design, where we work where we are with what we have. In our previous video, we did anemia, and I mentioned that it's often confused with low blood pressure. In this video, I'll only concentrate on the blood circulation and blood pressure in general. And behind me, it's not a spider. It is a model of the heart, and like I said, we work where we are with what we have. This model of the heart indicates that the heart consists of two sides, your right side and your left side. The left side containing oxygenated blood and the right side containing blood with much less oxygen, called deoxygenated blood. Each of these sides are divided by the valves that we know. Sometimes people have problems with the valves, and these represent the valves. Top chamber receives blood, and the bottom chambers, they pump out blood to where it has to go to. The right side of the heart, it receives blood from the head, that comes back from the head via this vein. And this one receives blood from all over the body. This vein brings blood back to the heart to be purified, to be oxygenated again. So as the blood flows into this chamber, it flows through the valves and into the bottom chamber. The atrium, which receives the blood, allows the blood to flow through the valves into the ventricle, and the atrium will contract eventually to push that last blood into the ventricle, and these valves will close again. This blood from the ventricle will then be pumped to the lungs. Now we know the lungs do not sit here, they sit on either side of the heart. And the blood is then pumped from this ventricle to the two lungs to be oxygenated. It fetches oxygen in the lungs, and it gets rid of the carbon dioxide that we then exhale. So the oxygenated blood will then be returned to the heart, to the left atrium, enter the left atrium, run through into the ventricles through the valves. This happens at the same time that the atrium on the other side that receives blood. The blood in the left atrium will then pass through the valves into the left ventricle, and the ventricle will then pump the blood into this very important artery, the aorta, take it up to the head and the rest of the body to feed the rest of the body with whatever is in that blood, and in the same time also collect what has been produced for excretion, and it will be returned to the heart via these veins. When the heart contracts, that is particularly the left ventricle. That's the ventricle, that's the part of the heart that causes your blood pressure, that's responsible for the blood pressure. When that ventricle contracts and pushes the blood into the aorta, the blood will then exert pressure on these arteries. And as the arteries branch, that pressure will be relayed, and it's that pressure that we measure. And when the heart relaxes, there is still pressure in the arteries, and that is the second pressure. Our textbook blood pressure, if the heart contracts, that is the systolic pressure. That is 120 millimeters of mercury, or we just call it 120. And when the heart relaxes, there is less pressure in the arteries, and that is your diastolic pressure, and that is accepted as 80. Now, when we are smaller, we might need less pressure. So if our pressure is 110 for contraction, for systolic, it is not a great concern. When the heart contracts and relaxes, it circulates the blood throughout, and for the blood to come back, there's nothing that pushes it back but the blood that comes from here. So we need to maintain a good pressure. But what helps the heart to get blood back is our muscular activity. So if our arms, our legs, our body is active all the time, it helps to push the blood back into the heart, and it helps our circulation, and the heart doesn't have to work that hard. Now that is our normal blood pressure. And for us to have good blood pressure and a healthy heart, we need to do a lot of exercise to help our heart drive the blood through the body, for the muscles, and particularly in the legs. And that's why walking is such a good exercise, to get the muscles of the legs pushing the blood back up into the veins to get it back up into the heart. So stay healthy. Keep that exercise going. Keep your housework going. You don't have to run to a gym for exercise. Simply doing your housework, running around sweeping, instead of using a vacuum cleaner, use your arms, and that will help you keep fit and healthy and keep your heart strong. Thank you for watching.